friendless Seattle teenager Andrew endures frequent abuse from his bullies and his alcoholic father Richard. While also coping with his loving mother Karen's battle with cancer, he begins to videotape his life. His cousin Matt invites him to a party to help him mingle, but his flirting causes an altercation with an attendee who throws his drink in Andrew's face. Popular student Steve finds a crying Andrew outside the party and asks him to come record a large hole he and several partygoers came across in the woods, accompanied by a drunken Matt. They journey through a small tunnel where they discover a glowing crystalline object which causes inexplicable phenomena as they approach it. As the object begins to react violently, Matt is thrown backwards against the wall by an unseen force. Steve develops nosebleed and the camera shots out. Weeks later, Andrew, Matt, and Steve have developed telekinetic abilities. They develop a close friendship using their abilities to play and record pranks, which goes as far as Andrew punching a motorist off the road and into a nearby pond. After the trio barely managed to save the man's life, Matt realizes how dangerous their powers can be and insists that they restrict use of them, particularly against living beings or when they are angry. After discovering that they can fly, the friends agree to fly around the world together following graduation, with Andrew in particularly desiring to visit that because of its peaceful nature. Steve encourages Andrew to enter the school talent show where the latter amazes his fellow students by disguising his powers as a magic aid. Andrew relishes his newfound popularity at a house party, but the night ends in disaster when a drunken Andrew goes upstairs to have sex with a classmate who he subsequently vomits on. Steve, who has taken over the camera from Matt after the latter leaves the party with an old flame, films the aftermath of the incident as an angry and humiliated Andrew yells on. As Karen's condition worsens, Andrew becomes increasingly withdrawn and aggressive. When Richard strikes him during an argument, Andrew violently repels him and flees the house. Steve and Matt suffer nosebleeds, indicating when the others are overexerting their powers, and Steve flies out to find Andrew sobbing in the middle of a storm. He attempts to console him, but Andrew becomes increasingly frustrated before Steve is suddenly struck by lightning and killed. Some days later, Andrew denies responsibility when confronted by Matt as Steve's funeral is taking place, but privately begs for forgiveness at Steve's grave the next day, believing that his powers are taking over him and he misses him. Due to the incident at the party as well as Steve's death, Andrew's relationship with Matt grows strained and he is once again alone at school after using his powers to rip teeth out of a bully's mouth in front of a crowd. The other students, when he is taunted about the party, Andrew begins to identify as an apex predator and the rationalization that he should not feel guilty for using his powers to hurt those weaker than him. Desperate to pay for his mother's medication, Andrew disguises himself with his father's firefighter gear and uses his powers to steal money. While robbing a gas station, he causes an explosion that puts him in the hospital. At his bedside, a distraughted Richard informs an unconscious Andrew that Karen has died and angrily blames Andrew for her death. As his father is about to strike him, Andrew awakens and abruptly grabs his arm before blowing out the wall of the room. Elsewhere, while at the birthday party, Matt experiences a severe nosebleed and senses Andrew is in trouble. Seeing a news alert on TV about a mysterious explosion downtown, he and his girlfriend Casey head to the hospital. As they arrive on the scene, Andrew flies out of the hospital room, dangling his father before dropping him. Matt flies up and saves Richard, lowering him to the ground before attempting to reason with Andrew. However, Andrew is too far gone in his rage and attacks Matt. Their fight takes them across the city, crashing through buildings and hurting vehicles. Eventually, the two exhaust themselves and wind up in a plaza where police surround them. Andrew's rage reaches a breaking point and he begins to destroy the building around him. Realizing that Andrew can't be stopped or reasoned with, Matt reluctantly impales Andrew with a spear from a nearby statue, killing him instantly despite his injuries. Matt is able to fly away before the police can reach him. Sometime later, Matt lands in Tibet with Andrew's camera, tearfully apologizing to him and vowing to use his powers for good and find out what happened to them. He points the camera at a Tibetan monastery in the distance before flying away, leaving the camera behind. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comment section below which movie you want us to recap next. As always, until the next time.